If you're ready to take back control of your health, you are in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candy, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease. All right, here we are. Thank you, everybody, for showing up both now and in the future, right? You never know who's going to be watching on replay. It's me, Nurse Tanya. It is a baseball cap kind of day. How are things going for you? I was having a really, my day went haywire. I just released a video. It was just a total have to show this on video kind of situation. So if you're on Facebook, you can scroll down my feed and find that video. If you're on YouTube, you can go under parasites and find that video. I'm having a hard time getting it off my mind today. So today for you in group coaching, the subject is supposed to be a little review of my week with Barbara O'Neill, but my full moon cleanse got me a little bit sidetracked this morning. I'm not going to lie. So what's on your mind comes out your mouth. And that has really been on my mind. Over here to this side, it's my right, might look like your left. I have my camera set up and I am doing a TikTok live as well. So they might be able to kind of see my computer screen, I'm thinking, on that TikTok live. I'm pretty new to TikTok. I'm just trying to feel my way through it. So it looks like I've got a few people here from Facebook, a few people here from YouTube. So that is super cool. I'm glad to have you here. I still, even though I've been practicing this, it's hard for me to multitask. But if you're out there, if you want to drop a comment, I'd love to see if I can see it. I'll try to get comments, like if you've got questions when we start this Barbara O'Neill part. If you've got questions, it's going to be pretty brief. I don't have a lot of time. I've got a client coming in scheduled right after this. So let's roll with it. I did quick whip up a little side, a little presentation here. So that is up. Let me see how I can control it. All right, my time with Barbara O'Neill. So it was in Hermosa, South Dakota, and gosh, I can never remember the name of the place. I got it handy here. Black Hills Center. No, that's not it. They have like a massage school there. That's not it. They have a Black Hills Center for Healing, Black Hills Health and Education Center in Hermosa, South Dakota. It was an amazing place. Not fancy, just fabulous. And they do retreats there, health retreats there. And I got an email that said they just got like a okay from Barbara to like use her program. She's got a health retreat in Australia. So they just got on board to full on use her program. So that's really cool. It's a week stay or a 2-week stay. It's very, very biblically based. Barbara, as well as this place, are Seventh-day Adventists. So I did know that before I went in, but she was amazing. Her scripture quotes and her political beliefs. Well, she got herself banned in Australia for being very outspoken. A lot of the little videos that you see posted from her teachings here and there. You don't really see that side of it, but an amazing lady. The way this stuff just rolls off of her memory. Um, I can't say enough how amazing it was. So, and I will try to find the link to share with you. I had to use a different browser on my phone to find it, but she's got a little class that's under $200 that you can support her and take her class. It would be very similar to this. It's kind of very similar to her book. And a lot of people do that. They write the book, and then like the classes all really go hand in hand with the book. So she talked a lot about deception, um, big pharma, farming practices, all those things, deception, and she would just quote scripture to go with it. It was super amazing. Just kind of looking at my notebook here as I talk. Like I said, I'm trying to give you a fill in the blank from a whole week. So we could do more of this for sure. But this is her main acronym here, this sustain me. So number one, the sun. We need the sun. And this picture of her and I, she was just setting her body clock, resetting her body clock from the jet lag. And so she will get outside, kind of close your eyes, whatever you can take, directly look into that sun to help set your body clock. Definitely, she is against sunglasses. And you might have heard that, how sunglasses have really messed us up like this. Your eyes, the cones in your eyes talk to your skin, talk to the melanin in your skin. Also, it's partly to do with your liver too. Like if you really can't stand looking into that sun, there's kind of a liver. It's big, it's complex, but for the majority, I love, she's like, no, the sun is not causing skin cancer, but toxic lotions are. And, be smart, cover up your skin with a light cotton shirt, wear a hat, keep the sun off of your face. But we need that sun, especially in the morning. If we can get out, get a walk, even sit in your grass, do some grounding, get to the earth, but get your sun in the morning. That helps your cortisol. It helps you get going in the morning, and it also helps you unwind at night if your body has an understanding of the time of day, of the rhythm. So she definitely, this sustained me. Basically everything that we need to fix, we can work on through these simple principles. Use of water. So she talks a lot about water, hydration, live water, spring water, not so much filtered water or distilled water is a good choice. Always have to bring the minerals back. Sleep, have to have sleep, and she's really big on getting to bed at night. Before 10 for sure, if not 9ish. Your sleep is always better from that 10 o'clock till 2 a.m. So you can sleep all day, but that night shift, that kind of work is so hard on you. So that sleep super important. 8 to 10 hours. Trust in the Lord. She was amazing, and everything that she said, came back to faith, came back to your innate intelligence, hearing from the Lord, being connected. And to do that, you have to be studying, you have to be in community with the Lord to receive those benefits. Abstain from stimulants. So Barbara is really no caffeine, um, sugar, of course, no alcohol, of course, no. I asked her about apple cider vinegar. So for her, even the apple cider vinegar is too close to alcohol. So no, and just keep in mind, I went there with an open mind, and I knew that I wasn't going to, become a Barbara minion. That's not why I went there. I went there just for fellowship, for education, and those kind of things, but not to come back and just practice everything perfectly that Barbara says. She's a human, and I've always been really careful about not getting anybody on a pedestal. Like when I first started this journey, I studied the Wellness Way with Patrick Flynn, and he's got a huge ego, and he would really like everybody to become a Patrick Flynn minion. And I just don't roll like that. I don't agree with everything he says, just like I don't necessarily agree with everything Barbara says. But my main takeaway on that, and even before I went, um, the main thing is that you can learn something from whoever, wherever you're at in life. You have to be teachable. Even my clients, I learn something from them. Everyone who walks in, there are a lot of people who I've met in this that they've been walking this out a lot longer than I have, and just because they don't have a special degree or some title behind their name doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about or I can't learn from them. So back to abstain from stimulants. I guess what I meant to say is I did too. Um, that I had taken some of my mushroom instant coffee with me because I kind of knew the page that they were going to be on about this stuff. And I didn't study for the no caffeine test. Like, that's kind of something you have to study for. I was not ready to quit cold turkey. But there are definitely other things that we can do besides caffeine. So I cheated twice that week. But for the week, I was basically off caffeine. And I could have done it. I didn't really have a headache. I just wanted what I wanted, right? It's just all about me at that point. I could have done it had I really wanted to. I do see the benefit. Your adrenals, especially if you've got adrenal fatigue, you're best off not to hit that coffee right in the morning. It is a stress response on your body, and if you know you're wired and you have a hard time relaxing, you really, really are someone who should get off the caffeine. And for me, it's a personal choice, and it all kind of depends on your needs and what you're trying to fix. But if you are in that stress response, overstimulated, caffeine is not your friend. So there's that. The apple cider vinegar, like she said, it can possibly be neurotoxic. I don't know. I think you'd have to drink a whole lot of it. I think if you are struggling and you're detoxing, you need stomach acid, I'm still going to be recommending apple cider vinegar. I just am. I don't share that same concept. But you, as an individual, you have to make your choice. Everything is about you, and you are in control. Barbara says that over and over. We are the master of our destination. And how I feel, whether it comes to diet or whatever, if you are walking out in good health, if what you're doing is working, stick to it. If you're sick, if you're tired, if you've got problems, then obviously what you're doing is not working. And you might have to do something radical, something that's outside of what you want to do in order to get better. Nutrition, she is very, very plant-based and gluten-free. So that was exciting for me. I didn't mind it a bit. If I had a personal chef and someone doing the grocery shopping, I could totally eat plant-based. The food was tasty. So all week we were just totally plant-based, and it was enjoyable. It absolutely was. I will say it was a whole new level of constipation for me than what I have experienced again before in my life. Again, I didn't study for that test. So our microbiome is pretty specific to how we eat. So if we eat a lot of meat, we have got more of the microbiome to digest meat. If we, or plants or whatever you eat. So my system was a little bit shocked for sure, but I got through it. It was all right. I got through it. Um, Let's see. Exercise. This little lady, she is, I think she's 70 or close to it. And she really didn't start exercising. Her story was great. She didn't start exercising until way later in life. I think she's always been small and she's always been thin, but she had not been fit. And it was through personal connection and someone who had asked her to go for a walk with them and just left her in the dust, that she really realized that running around being busy all day was absolutely not being fit. So and I love the HIT training too. I had been implementing that for the last year, so that wasn't new to my ears, but it was really good for me to again hear somebody else say how good that is. The high intensity training, my phone is occupied, so I can't show you, but there's a lot of I like the timer. I don't like to count it out. I like that little timer to go off in my ear and tell me when to rest. So I downloaded an app that does that timer for me. Right now, what I'm doing, because it's nice out and I've got a nice gravel road, what I like to do is set my HIT workout. So I have 5 minutes of warm up, and I kind of, while I'm walking, do arms and kind of wiggle and stretch while I'm walking. And then when it tells me to work, I have that set for 30 seconds. And I am going to, my week got way late. Like this week has been bad. I've missed a few days, but right now I have my work set for 30 seconds. I'm going to bump that up to 45 seconds next week. But for me, that is when I'm going to jog. And I'm not much of a jogger, so it's kind of more of a sprint. And in that work, you want to get breathless. You want to be like, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can in those last few seconds of it. And then you're going to rest. For me, my rest is still a good paced walk. But as I'm walking, I'm recovering my breath. And I do that for 4 rotations. So it ends up to be about 20 minutes or so. And I so enjoy that. And that can look multiple different ways for you. Some people just, while they do the work, they're doing push-ups or they're doing setups, and then they're literally, just kind of walking, standing, barely moving while they recover. That absolutely can look any way you want it to look. It can look at the gym with equipment. It can be at home with no equipment, just using your weight for resistance. All you need to do is make sure you get to a breathless point for at least 30 seconds or longer, and then recover and get breathless and recover. Barbara is really big. Oh, sorry, I skipped past the inhale. She's really big on that breathing through your nose. So, especially if on your walk you're going up a hill, keep your mouth shut. Force yourself to breathe through the nose while you're doing that work. So, that applies also to anxiety, like bringing yourself down, and even heart problems, blood pressure issues, all of that. If we would not be so shallow breathers, when you inhale, it's a inhale big through your nose, hold it at the top, 2, 3, 4, as long as you can, and then release it again through the nose. That speaks to your heart rhythm. It will bring your anxiety down. It will increase your oxygenation, your blood flow. It reduce inflammation. It is amazing, amazing practice. And that perfect thing to implement, like, how smokers take smoke breaks. If we would all take a breathing break, step away from your desk, step away from what you're doing, go somewhere, get your mind quiet, and do this big inhaling like smoke breaks, it would change your life. It would absolutely change your life. Next, what we see, she definitely is so, so strong in her faith. God does not bring disease. Over and over again, disease is is us. It's our environment. It's our triggers. It's our toxins. She would say genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. Like with autoimmune disease, things get tripped on. Well, your body can heal, your body can restore, and those things can be tripped back off as well, just like they were tripped on. So we just always need to keep that in mind. There's so much that we're responsible for. There's so much of our sickness and our disease that falls on us. We need to forgive ourselves for what we didn't know. We need to forgive ourselves for our laziness and start rebuilding. Start rebuilding good habits and start moving on. The body will absolutely heal if we give it the right conditions. That one, Barbara and I definitely agree about. She doesn't really get into detox. She doesn't, talk about different products or anything like that. She well, in that retreat, they do a lot of detoxing, but they do it a little bit differently. So, but with me and my practice, the cell core, the detox, it all absolutely falls right in line with what Barbara had to say. She talked extensively about antibiotics, extensively about big pharma and the lies and the manipulation and that antibiotic use. She had a couple of stories about when her kids were young, and and how that really changed her life. Or one child that they kept putting on antibiotics for an ear problem, and it was never an ear problem. So it led her to go knock on the door of an elderly neighbor, and say, what did you do when your kids were sick? And even at her stage in life, where she's at, close to 70, even in her lifetime, was when these changes were happening. And she was a nurse. She was in the medical field. And so that whole pharmakia and taking away that common sense from people. Antibiotics will always cause a problem in the body. They will always cause an imbalance, and it's always going to need to be fixed. The sooner we can rebalance, the sooner we can fix it, the better. So the main two, the lactobacillus and the acidophilus, when they're stripped, which they get stripped in antibiotic use, when they are not there to balance the candida and the yeast. We need yeast in our gut. We do. It has a role, but we don't want it to be the top dog in that GI or in our bodies. We can't say good and bad bacteria, but it has to be harmony. It has to be in harmony. So that's the main problem, is when those antibiotics come in, and sometimes they are life-savingly necessary. I'm not saying that they're not, but they will bring problems. When that candida is allowed to get into an overgrowth state, at first it can be subtle and sneaky. It can get into your tissues. It's super toxic. Candida, when it multiplies as its state, it's a living organism, and its gases and its toxins and its waste that it puts out are super hard on our bodies. It can cause muscle pain, brain fog, joint pain, and cancer, and fungus problems, skin issues. Anybody who's got eczema, psoriasis, things like that are directly tied to a microbiome imbalance. So I'll get to like a few of her home remedies for before you go to grab an antibiotic, things that you can try. Let's see here. Salt, of course, if you've seen any of her video shorts, she is huge on that Celtic salt. Her popularity has made that salt super hard to get. So the Celtic salt that's not ground is like kind of a little grain. And what she's talking about all the time is just putting a grain of it on your tongue before you drink, and multiple times during the day. Um, Table salt, Morton iodized table salt, is terrible for you. Terrible, terrible. Um, cause problems in the body. So we need salt. We need plenty of salt, but we need good salt. If you can't get the Celtic salt, I like that Redmond brand. They're good. The Himalayans aren't terrible. They're definitely better than table salt, but some of those are definitely mined, and there's a process where things, not so wonderful things, happen to the product before it gets to you. She talked a lot about digestion. She is really big on two meals a day, 6 hours between meals. So, however that looks in your schedule, she definitely will say that your body's energetic systems are set up to digest better early in the day. And you want to be done eating long before you go to bed. You want your stomach to be empty. You want your stomach to get a chance to sleep as well. So that is her version of intermittent fasting. Excuse me, her version of intermittent fasting. However that works in your schedule. For her biggest meal is always going to be right away in the morning, and then a second lighter meal, and maybe a soup or broth a few hours after. She talks a lot about slippery elm. And slippery elm is great for the digestion. It reminds me of a when I worked at the jail in Dickinson, there was an older inmate, and he was always making us go buy him slippery elm. And he was kind of an old hippie kind of guy. Really, him and Barbara, he probably knew as much stuff as Barbara did, honestly, but he was just a little bit wild and crazy. He was in there because he shot his neighbor in his garage, but he knew some stuff about his herbs. He definitely did. I have to wonder what happened to that old hippie. Um, that was way back when I didn't have ears to hear what an old hippie had to say. Lot of slippery elm. I've got Standard Process has got a product with slippery elm in it. They don't have a just slippery elm, but they've got a product with slippery elm in it. And slippery elm is kind of a snotty type. You can make a tea, or you can buy it in bulk and put it in capsules or whatever. But it kind of is, it helps things literally slip through your digestive system. So it is beneficial that way. She talked a lot about cayenne pepper. So where I generally go recommend the apple cider vinegar, she recommends the cayenne pepper. I have tried a little bit. For me, when I've always been cautious of the cayenne pepper, because when I did food allergy testing, peppers were a huge trigger for me, all of them. So, and I ate some there on my food, and I did okay with it, but I've also healed a lot in the last 3 years. But that burn in your belly, we're all sitting around the table, and I'm like, so everybody feels this burn? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, and we're okay with it. This is an okay burn. And they're like, yep, that's okay. And I guess and it didn't come up my throat like black pepper would. It didn't come up my throat. But so you can experiment with that however you choose to use the cayenne pepper. If you don't mind the taste of it, or you can get it in capsule form. I did order some oil here that I've got on the shelves, and I will have some powder I ordered from Azure Standard that I'm going to have a little home remedy shelf. I'm working on it. So the Celtic salt is out. I can't get my hands on that right now. but I'm working on having a little home remedy test or a little shelf. And I do, when we do bioenergetic testing, I do test people for these home remedy products as well. And some people don't test well for apple cider vinegar, and some people don't test well for cayenne pepper. So um, I think it's still always better to at least energetically test and know what your body is asking for. That's one really great way of narrowing things down. Let's see, what else do we got? Okay, so here's some of the home remedies. I didn't take the best notes here for you. I was just going through them pretty fast. But for babies or anybody with an earache, she talked about the steamed onion. So it's not boiled, it's a whole onion that you're going to get soft. It needs to be soft and warm. And then you're going to take a muslin or a cotton and you're going to wrap it up and just put it against the ear, a compress. And you're going to leave it until it becomes cold, or hopefully the child will fall asleep with it right on their ear. Um, that warm like that, if you can juice it out, you can put a little of that onion juice in the ear. Makes a great earache home remedy. Raw onion for sore throat. So that's going to be a compress. Whenever you are making a compress, you can use an old cotton sheet, rip it up, an old towel, but you want to stick to cotton. You don't want to use, or if you've got linen, definitely natural fibers. You don't want synthetic anything. You can always put so raw, and that's going to be cold over your throat, and then make that compress. If you want, she's not afraid of putting some saran wrap around stuff. I don't know that I trust the plastic not to leach, but anyway, she seemed to be fine with it. But so if you wanted, you could put plastic over it. It would kind of help trap some of your body heat as well. So we want body heat as well as we want absorption. So we're just wanting that onion to absorb into the skin. You can also, for a cough, you can do the raw onion compress to the bottom of the feet. Put the onion on there. So chop it a little bit so it's going to want to juice out, and wrap it with saran wrap or a baggie, however you want to do it. Put your sock on and sleep with it. That raw onion, just even on a plate or in a bowl next to your bedside table when you're sleeping, if you've got like a viral kind of thing, is supposed to help pick up those viruses so they don't, make their way to around everybody else. It is if you believe in viruses, which I don't think I technically do. But anyway, um, as a home antibiotic, you can use a raw onion to make a syrup. So you're going to do raw onion and raw honey. So it really needs to be not processed or refined honey. You're just going to cut it up, take a little jar, put your a layer of onions, a tablespoon of honey, a layer of onions, tablespoon of honey, and it doesn't take long for that honey to start breaking that down into a syrupy product. Then you're going to take the syrup, 3 tablespoons a day when you have a problem, or 1 tablespoon a day just for your immune system to prevent a problem, especially during the season where all these bugs want to flow around. You can do the same thing with garlic. You can make that syrup out of it. You can ingest garlic, 3 large cloves a day as an antibiotic, and that literally, um, you can crush them, you can swallow them whole. A lot of people will make that garlic and honey fermented and then use that fermented garlic and that fermented liquid as a cough syrup or as an antibiotic. Very, very good stuff. Any of these things that you want more information of, just go to YouTube and type in, Barbara O'Neill onion syrup or whatever. I'm sure you can find it. And actually, the place in Rapid that hosted this said they would give us a video of all of her teachings throughout the week. So maybe down the line, that's something that I could share with you guys. What I would do is just schedule a few lives and do them like by the session, where we just play it over live feed for the hour and a half or whatever it was, and you would be able to take notes. It would be like you were there. So another home remedy is ginger. She talked a lot about ginger. Ginger warms the body. It's great for digestion. Most of us knew that, right? So, but it's also great for joints. So if you've got joint pain, you can make a ginger compress. Probably what you're going to want to do with that is grind it and like make it into a paste. And there too, you can apply it to a compress or apply it right to the skin and add a compress over it. You got to be a little bit careful with ginger so it doesn't burn your skin. But you could mix the ginger with your castor oil. You could mix ginger with some DSMO. A lot of things that you could make a compress to really drive that ginger into those joints. Flu bomb. Sorry, I didn't get my notes weren't very good on this. I didn't get a great recipe, but I'm sure too you could just go to YouTube or go to Google and, well, maybe not Google. I have trouble with Google trying to find Barbara's stuff. If I go to a private browser, then I can search her stuff way easier. But anyway, flu bomb is going to be garlic, ginger, cayenne, eucalyptus, just a little tiny bit of eucalyptus oil, the juice of a lemon, a teaspoon of honey, and some hot water. And that is one dose. So if you want to make up a bigger batch of that's going to last 3 days, you can do it however you want. But that is for your immune system to really kick those. It looks like it's to kick germs, but I think it's more a detox. When we get a cold or whatever, I think it's because we got exposed to something. Our body is detoxing, not necessarily fighting germs like germs. I just don't really buy the whole germ thing. So anyway, garlic are great for children when they have a cold. You're gonna kind of crush it so it's wanting to get milky, and you need to make sure that it's wrapped in cotton, and then you put it on the bottom of their little foot, and that will burn their skin. So you need a cotton barrier, but you want the juices to slowly penetrate, like over hours, not quickly. So there was that. Castor oil, of course, for everything. If you're seeing Barbara's videos anywhere, you got a problem, put castor oil on it. You got a tumor, a bone spur, a lump, a bump, put castor oil on it. If you want to increase circulation in that area, put castor oil and mix cayenne pepper on it, like the bottom of your feet. And it doesn't have to be like for that bottom of the foot compress. It doesn't have to be castor oil. You can use olive oil as well. So the main thing is that it has something for the castor oil to stick to, and then wrap your feet. So all of these things you don't do just once and expect big results. These are things that are going to chip away at this problem little by little. These are things that you're going to have to stick to for quite some time. And that's the main thing why people end up going the medical route, is because they don't have the stick-to-itiveness. Like, you got to stick to this stuff in order for it to work. And in all honesty, I really feel like if you've got a bunch of autoimmune disease and you want the castor oil and cayenne pepper to help your feet, or if you're going through chemo and you want castor oil and cayenne pepper to help that nerve damage, I'm not sure that, like, the more sickness and disease we have in our body, the harder time we have getting results with these little home remedies. Like, if you're in pretty good shape, or especially for kids, they just work better because your body's not so contaminated. There's not so many layers of things that are in the way. In conclusion, I love Barbara always says, you're the master of your domain. No matter what, you have a choice and you have authority. And we just have to make sure that we don't bend over and allow people to take that from us. It was really cool. She is very strong politically. Her husband in Australia is very strong politically. They are definitely a power company, a power couple. Really, really amazing, upright, and she's still got that kind way about her. Like she'll tell somebody off with a smile. um, and she just really has her platform. Like every evangelist or every minister has their platform. So she doesn't claim to be able to cure all diseases. She really stays to this platform of, if you treat your body right, if you give it the right conditions, it will heal. She did talk about high blood pressure. She talked about hormones. She talked about cancer. I don't have time to go into all that today. It was all great information. It was all of those things were not new to my ears, but she really has a great way of teaching. Um, we really, really need to understand that what we put on and in our bodies is so important. If you haven't started going through your cupboards and getting rid of chemicals, anything with long, unnatural names, um, your skincare, if it wouldn't be safe to eat, don't put it on your skin. Like those big companies like Bath and Body, they're so, it will mess you up. It will mess your kids up. Yes, it all matters. It might not send them to the ER, and that's not what I'm talking about. But you want your kids to be fertile when they're ready to have kids. You want your kids to live well in their 40s and not be full of sickness and disease. So what we teach them, what we do when they're young, you might not see the fruit of it by the time they're 10 or by the time they're 15, but it's the habits that you instill in them when they're young, so they can always use home remedies because their bodies are good and clean, and they don't have to, you know go on antibiotics, or they don't have to go on blood pressure medication, or they never become diabetic. Those things all matter. It all matters. Our body can only take so much toxins. It just, when there's toxins in the way, it interferes with that natural chemical daily rejuvenation that your body wants to go through, that your body will go through. We need to get back to nature. We need to get out of our buildings, away from the fluorescent lights, away from the power, away from the EMF. We need to spend time in nature so we can hear the voice of the Lord, so we can hear right and wrong. We need to simplify, detoxify, exercise, pray, and study. And then it all goes back to her simple, it's so simple, that sustain me. To sustain your body, these things that are so simple, but yet they've become so hard. They've just become not in our routine somehow, some way. So everybody who stayed with me, thank you so much. I will in the future share more of her education. I can't think, and my phone is busy, of what that website is that you can find her teaching, but I will put it in on Facebook in the comments of this. And I guess I could even do that on YouTube. I can put it in the comments and make it easier for people. Like I said, I totally had to I have to use a different browser when I search for anything Barbara. I can't do it on Google. I wonder why that is. What else? Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can email them to me and we can do more Barbara at another time. But for right now, I got to wrap it out. Thanks. A couple of questions. Or a couple of comments. I appreciate that. I appreciate any likes, shares, and follows as I'm trying to grow on social media. It really helps. So, anybody out there willing to like, share, and subscribe, I appreciate it. But bye, everybody. God bless.